Raven is obviously using us, but his intel checks out. Havoc has reactivated this old missile base in their bid to force the world into submission. These weapons threaten the very backbone of humanity. This won't stand. We'll storm the beaches, breach the bunkers, and extract the poison that they've planted in this territory. We will turn their missiles against them and drown them in a nightmare of their own creation.
The success of Havoc's Skynet weapons project relies on this ICBM base. It is the sword that extends our deterrence radius, the catalyst for our dream of building the new world. But the deranged Raven exposed it by releasing its coordinates to GTI. Since they want to make it the center of a new global storm, it shall be so.
Chaos. It is the improvisation of fate. Chaos. The art of breaking free from the confines of reality. When the Raven cries, millions of wings will tear the night apart.
Claire, time to escort the Raven.
The time has come.
Do you read poetry, my friend? For it tells us not what has happened, but what is going to happen.
Your mission is to rescue an inmate with intel on Skynet, so why start a riot?
Don't look at me, mate. I was working on the toilet.
Just go on. Track him down and contact Zoya.
A divine messenger has guided me to your rescue. You are free.
No. Firstly, it wasn't a divine messenger. Just a little birdie. Secondly, I've always been free. You're the ones trapped in order.
Inmates have taken the control room and activated tidal defense system.
It's all part of this madman's plan!
That guy doesn't look like he's asking for help.
Zoya was tricked by a birdie.
the guests have arrived. Now let the chaos thicken! Then, Mythor. The air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
GTI. Watch out! There's hallucinogens in the smoke!
Luna!
Luna?
Wretch, I cry. These forces lent thee by these spirits it hath sent thee. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Don't, they'll feel the blade of betrayal pierce their hearts just as I have.
Tidal lock defense protocol fully engaged. Area is on the brink of complete
I don't know what's
submersion.
going on between you two, but we gotta pull out. Now!
Order, the formula of fate. With chaos, fate's writing poetry.
Greetings, operators. Get ready for the Delta Force break season. We're talking fresh maps, new operators, and game modes that'll totally change how you play. First up, let's dive into the new maps. This season, we're dropping you onto a tropical island with stunning blue waters, clear skies, and perfect weather. Don't let the scenery fool you, though. Havk has already taken over the Intercontinental Missile Launch Base here. You'll need to use the vast surrounding waters to your advantage, launching amphibious assaults from land, sea, and air. And hey, diving underwater isn't just for dodging bullets. It's perfect for flanking enemies and pulling off surprise attacks. Just a heads up, Havk might deploy weather weapons. This means the area could turn into a cyclone at any moment. So make sure all operators are prepped for combat in extreme weather conditions. On top of that, Victory Unite mode in the new season will feature a dedicated management panel for commanders. This panel consolidates all commander abilities, replacing the old, larger map interface, making it much easier to issue orders. Plus, there's a new commander ability called Call and Attack, Urgent Deployment. This bad boy can drastically cut down friendly respawn times for a short period, helping your squad quickly rebuild offensive or defensive lines. To keep operators agile during amphibious operations, the new season lets you pilot jet skis. Use them to zip around the battlefield and reposition quickly. After this season's update, engineers will find a new class gadget, the wire-guided missile launcher. Now infantry can use it to remotely control and hit targets. In operations mode this season, we're dropping a brand new map, Tide Prison, available only on PC. Your goal, break out as fast as possible, explore every nook and cranny of the prison, and make a successful extraction. That's the ultimate objective. When you first land in the prison, you'll be rocking a prison uniform and limited to throwing punches. But don't sweat it. Follow the guidance and you'll quickly recover your gear, complete the jailbreak, and start scavenging for supplies. Beyond the way we showed you, there are a bunch of other jailbreak methods just waiting for you to find. While exploring underwater in Tide Prison, you might stumble upon a new container, the DF Clam. If luck's on your side, you could even get the prison's exclusive, super valuable red item, Tears of Ocean. In the maximum security block, operators might randomly receive a flagship task called Operation Floodline. Respond to these emergencies and complete the operation within the time limit to grab the valuable data that's in the hanging cell. This prison isn't just for new operators, it's also home to a lot of locals, including Raven, the beloved son of the former Asara king. He wields a .357 Zephyr revolver pistol, and when he unleashes a flurry of shots, he'll knock down any operator in his line of sight. Seriously, don't go near his smoke grenades. Touching the smoke will immediately give you hallucinogenic effects that mess with your vision. And whatever you do, avoid melee combat with him, or you will be executed. Also, don't ignore his guards. These Asara death row inmates pack a punch with both ranged and powerful melee weapons. Trying to save ammo against them is a bad idea. If you see other prisoners bursting out of their cells or even duking out with guards, it means a prison riot is going down, and Raven is roaming around somewhere. He's also left some gifts hidden in the prison. Open them up for a surprise. And speaking of Jailbreak, how could we forget those iconic scenes everyone loves? If you can, pick your favorite way to extract from Tide Prison. The new season is packed with even more fresh content going live. Ready for a wave of upcoming summer events? From July 9th to August 7th, a brand new event pass kicks off. Play matches across both modes to rack up playtime and claim the SB98 Forest Hunter appearance, plus 20 armament voucher draws. Starting in the second week after the event opens, accelerated quests will also be open to help operators complete them faster. At the same time, special secret protocol crates will appear in the Zero Dam map in operations, with a new secret protocol crate added in a new location each week. On normal difficulty, an additional secret protocol crate will be added. Find them and successfully extract to obtain weapon appearances. In operations and warfare matches, find and extract with the secret protocol crate added in the final week to not only unlock early access to the new KC-17 assault rifle, but also the KC-17 Line of Glory weapon appearance. The KC-17 assault rifle will officially go live in the mid-season update. There's also a new Cold Warrior compound bow that will go live simultaneously at the start of the new season, and I'm sure you can't wait to use it to capture prey on the battlefield. In this season, an assault operator from Hoft is about to join the fight. Claire Ann Byers, codenamed Tempest. After an accidental injury, she went through Hoft's medical experience and had an auxiliary surge spine surgically installed. This allows her to use electrical currents to boost her core muscles, fully unleashing her athletic abilities for rapid rolling and finding opportunities to kill enemies in the crossfire. Tempest's throwable drill charge unleashes powerful electrical currents that will knock weapons from enemies' hands and briefly paralyze them. The emergency evasion device on her waist, when activated, shoots out a safety rope that latches onto an anchor point. If Tempest hits the device again or takes fatal damage, she'll be yanked back to that anchor spot. In operations, she can even self-revive once if she's down. Overall, Tempest is going to be an excellent pioneer for any team, helping gather enemy information and cutting down on casualty risks. We're confident she'll do great when she joins GTI. As demonstrated earlier, the new season adds a swimming system. Sprint swimming is faster, but consumes stamina and accelerates oxygen consumption, requiring timely servicing. Note that when operators are at the water surface, weapons can fire normally and items can be used normally. Underwater, there are restrictions. Ammo experiences very rapid damage fall-off after entering water, so if you're shot while underwater, it's best to dive deeper. In the new season, operators can find the collection room in the Black Site, where you can store and showcase the major red collections you've obtained. Upgrade the collection room to unlock more display wall effects. The new season is also bringing a ton of fresh appearances. The new season's Mandelbrick features 2 gold weapon appearances: the AUG Assault Rifle Meteorology
The conduction coil is on our systems. Sync module.
and the CI-19 Meteorology.
This is not a toy, soldier.
These come with 4 unique weather-changing inspection effects on the weapon itself, evolving kill effects, plus tracer rounds and voice broadcast. Additionally, the store will launch the Mulan's Edge bundle. This pack includes the gold melee weapon Switchblade, Mulan's Edge, along with various weapon appearances, charms, avatars, calling cards, and other ways to personalize your gear. Weapon charms are getting a brand new Asara theme, Asara Guard soldier figures. Collect the complete set, and the charms will actually glow on their own. When your weapons fire, you'll even see cool burn effects. Make sure to grab them in the new season. Meanwhile, the Delta Force and Arknights collab is just about to launch. If you're an Arknights fan, you definitely don't want to miss it. That's all the exciting content coming in the Break New Season update. Break free from your cage and escape to freedom on July 9th.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. If you're here in North America for the Delta Force Global League, you're here at the right time, at the right place. It's 7 p.m. Central Time, and it's time for more Warfare here with the North American region finals for Season 2. I'm Goj, I'm going to be your host and casting yet again. We were live just a few hours ago for the European finals, and it was a ton of fun, a nail-biter. It came down to the wire at the very last point, and I'm excited to get into it for North America. But I got to bring back my amazing co-caster, friend, and everything in between. Tiff, welcome back to the broadcast. Welcome back for another Warfare broadcast. More chaos. I know you're excited for it.
Look, you keep saying it. It's all about the chaos moments, and I'm here for it. EU, you're right, was a ton of fun. And honestly, if it comes down to just 10 tickets, there's things to be expected here, especially with NA, considering we do have some people that are returning from Delta Force Global League Season 1. So let's see if they can run it back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just like in Europe, we've got some repeat winners potentially, or maybe some frustrations in the second season. Let's take a look at the format. It's a little bit different from last time, but is going to be the same as Europe if you were here earlier. Here's a look, folks. Team Alpha versus Team Bravo, and we've got 5 different maps that we can play on. Now, the map has been randomized, which we will reveal in a little bit. I believe they're rolling for it right now to figure out which map we will play. Because on maps 1 and 2, we'll be playing the same map. Just one map for the first 2 games, and it's just one best of 3. The team that wins 2 maps wins this whole thing. It's real simple. Now, where it gets a little complex, we are playing on Victory Unite. We've got commanders, but where it gets a little complex is that in game 3, there's some tiebreakers, and that's where it gets a little interesting. And essentially, there's a lot of nuance here, but the easy way to understand this is whoever does better, basically, between 2 maps gets to have priority selection. The team with priority selection gets to either choose for game 3 the map they want to play on, or basically the side, if they want to be on attack or defend, the faction that they want to play. So they could either choose for defense or attack, or they could choose the map. The map is always chosen first, so some really fun stuff there. And if you didn't watch the Europe broadcast, this all makes sense because it happened in Europe. We went to game 3, and it went down to the final point in game 3 as well. So really nuanced structure, really excited about this, but it is just a single best of 3. So don't blink. I don't even know if you have time to drink some water because it might go very quick depending on how these teams play. Now let's take a look at the pricing. We've got a lot of money on the line, and I'm going to tell you how it's all broken down. Nice and simple. $10,000 for the winning side because we've got 5 teams of 4 on both sides. It's 20v20 Victory Unite. Only one side is winning $10,000. It's about $500 a piece. And so I'll be pumped to see who wins that one. It was Team Bravo in Europe. We'll talk about those teams in a second. But we do have some individual rewards, whether you're on the losing side or the winning side. If you're the top Slayer overall, the top individual gets the most kills throughout the course of these up to 3 games, you'll win $500. Now, if you're the top medic, top revives, you'll also win $500. So we had some players in Europe that were able to get both, but even still, it's going to be a race to the finish line for not only the winning side, but also some of these top individual races. So a lot to be playing for today. And Tiff, I want you to break down the squads we have today and how those squads are delineated, which sides they're on. So we've got Alpha versus Bravo, but 5 unique squads on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, you're going to go ahead and start with Team Alpha. You have Onion Esports, For Fun Esports, The Syndicate, G7, and NYXE. If you think back to Delta Force Global League Season 1, NYXE, that's going to be a name as long as For Fun Esports that we're definitely returning. Of course, they've made some small roster changes, but some heavy-hitting names. But you're going to look at that team in the dead center, the Syndicate. Now, I don't know about you guys in chat if you've been watching a ton of these Delta Force show matches or not, but some of these names should be incredibly familiar to you. Take a look at Zinsire. That man was going crazy in the show matches. And speaking of crazy, I do want to talk about Mr. Wormy and his ability to pilot a helicopter. Dude was an absolute menace out there. Probably one of the most evasive people I have ever seen. And you know, when it comes to warfare, how incredibly important being able to drive or pilot a certain type of vehicle can be beneficial for your team, especially in this Victory Unite mode where you do have to reunite under one commander and kind of run rogue accordingly. But I do want to note, Ghost, some of those changes that we were talking about. So Sirent, I do apologize if I said that incorrectly, was the top fragger for NYXE back in Season 1, Ghost. I'm talking 360 kills out of a total 1,025 kills. This is also the top performing team on the winning squad back in just April, right?
Yeah.
Well, no longer on the roster, okay? So we've got some changes, and that was the biggest fragger from Season 1.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shot, and I'm actually gonna raise you one because I'm getting word from production that the funniest thing. I love that you called that out. NYXE had some issues, and they had to pull in a sub. One of their players doesn't have internet, is like all their energy's totally whacked out, and so guess what? They pull Siren as their sub, so he is.
Do
back,
they really?
Subbing in for Rasta most likely is who he's gonna be popping in for because that was the player having some issues. So Siren will be joining that roster again. So we'll see how they're able to do. I don't know if they've been practicing or not. But then over on Bravo, yeah, we've got a lot of good teams on Bravo. Obviously, you're going to see some recognizable names. Eternals Gaming and Eternal Gaming B both have made it to the finals, and so they're both going to be competing on the same side. We'll see how they do. HXE as well. Pretty strong squad, so it'll be fun. I said this in Europe, and I want to repeat it because that's the point of this whole broadcast, is to showcase some new talent. Maybe you watch some of these creators if they do stream and they create content. Some of these players are just competitive players, and they are trying to make a name for themselves, and that's what's really exciting to watch because we get to see brand new players to this scene hopefully make a name for themselves and see what they're able to do on main stage. But let's take a look at the maps that we could be playing today and how it's going to work. And it looks like the random roll, we got our wish. We got a helicopter. Threshold does have a single helicopter that can spawn, and we're going to be playing Threshold. Wormy. That's right. We're going to be playing Threshold for maps 1 and 2, of course. Alpha, by the way, that will be on attack to start. Bravo will be on defense to start. So it'd be fun to see what the teams are able to do. They will just swap, though, in round 2, so there's not necessarily any advantage there. We're going to play both sides. And sure, it is possible we don't go to game 3. I'm expecting to go to game 3 with how tight these competitions have been. But Tiff, as per the usual, only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true. You think back to Europe Warfare, right? Game number 1. The defense held them at A. Now, granted, they were not playing on Threshold. They were playing on Trainwreck, but it was an absolute smoke show. However, when you think about when we get into game 2, it was a complete script flipped. And then it came down to literally less than 10 tickets, 10 seconds, whichever. It was a nail biter in that game 3. So you're right. Only time will tell. But if I'm Bravo and I'm defending here on Threshold, you think about some of those choke points in those certain sectors where things, as you get through, like obviously you start towards that hotel and things can get really dicey there, and I think you have to rely on those operators that have smokes. But based off what we witnessed alone, some of these areas are just not going to be beneficial for vehicle warfare. Now, granted, there is a helicopter, right? You'll likely see that one come through at some point in time, just knowing the players that we have on the teams and what we've seen out of them in the show matches. I wouldn't be surprised if they slotted right in. However, remember, we were talking about, yes, you get an award for top player, you get an award for top medic. No, we're not going to be rewarding our top operator players that are just locking in the engineers and being so critical to deny any kind of vehicle usage or keep them alive. But we were talking about the importance of those specific operators and those players locking it in.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good shout. We can have a moment here while we're getting our players ready to go in our lobby. I think we're just a moment away, waiting on one or two more players. We can talk a little bit about some of the metas we've seen in Warfare. Obviously, we just watched basically this exact same competition that happened in Europe just a few hours ago. And I think our North American players will play absolutely different than Europe. But some of the things that you will see for sure is vehicle gameplay being extremely important. Now, it is probably more important on the map that Europe played on, which was Trainwreck. But on Threshold, it's still equally important, especially for breaking through point A very quickly. We've watched Threshold here on the Delta Force channel quite a bit, and it's a very unique and dynamic map with the way it's built, to where the vehicles can't necessarily all travel from A over into B and C. You can get vehicles over there, and there's that helicopter, but vehicle gameplay is still very important on this map as well. And so one of the things we always see is what we call on the broadcast pocket engineers. You're going to see a lot of engineers on this broadcast because you've got to keep these vehicles alive. So oftentimes the engineers travel with the vehicles, hop in the passenger seat or the driver, be able to keep things alive, hop out, heal things up, especially those tanks. Super, super valuable. And I'm pumped to see what they're able to do with engineers. But also, I'm assuming, Tiff, we saw a ton of those recon operators as well, so that they could get those spawn points down. They got to get the tactical beacons down so their teams can spawn wherever they want them to spawn, rather than all the way on the back side of the map. That's something else we'll probably see a ton of. Now, before we hop into gameplay, we'll talk a little bit more about meta once we're in and what we're able to see. I want to remind everybody, or maybe break the news to everybody watching, at least in the Twitch channel, we've got some drops that are active. Now, we've got season break Twitch drops that are active. This is from the season break. That's going to be active all the way from that July 9th date where we had a big stream all the way through into August. But I also want to use this time to tell you we've got brand new Twitch drops also active right now for the Delta Force Global League. That I just got word from Delta Force. They've activated special drops just for you, just for this, which is really dang cool. So you're going to be able to earn a bunch of this stuff just by watching Season Break on all of the streamers that are out there that have drops active and on this official channel. But we've also got brand new drops active here on the Twitch channel for Delta Force just for this weekend. So you'll be able to watch this broadcast and our operations finals that are tomorrow, and that's going to get you to a place where you can earn a bunch of rewards. So really cool stuff. If you have questions on how to operate drops, I'm sure our moderators can help you out in the Twitch channel. And if you're watching on all of those other socials, yeah, I think we're live on X, Facebook, TikTok, of course, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Go ahead and drop a follow, because Delta Force's got a ton of crazy stuff going on. And so drop a follow wherever you're watching. But if you want to earn some Twitch drops, hop over to Twitch. That's the only way to earn Twitch drops. Pretty simple stuff. And drop a follow wherever you're watching. They've got a ton of content coming out, a lot more competition. So thanks for tuning in for the day. Warfare about to get started for North America. And Tiff, while we have a moment, I think our game's about to get started. Threshold, I think one of the things I'm looking out for is, can we break through point A? If I remember correctly, our first game of Europe, our attack couldn't get through point A at all. They didn't even get past the first point, and yet we still went to game 3 and the final point of game 3. So it's about kind of picking up some of that chemistry quickly. And if I remember correctly from season 1, Tiff, there was a match in North America on Threshold where a team couldn't get past point A, and that was mostly because of NYXE, which is super interesting. But NYXE, I believe, on the attacking side to start.
Look, hey, if they're going to kick things off on the attacking side, that's going to make for a really interesting journey for both of us. Because if you're kicking things off on A, we start in that hotel, you've got those narrow passageways, all those tight corridors. You know how many smokes we saw over in Europe Warfare goes? Well, you know they're going to be back. They're going to be prevalent, and you're going to see a ton of Lunas coming through.
Yeah, this will be a fun one. Here we go. So we've got Threshold as a reminder. I'm sure you've played Threshold, but as a quick reminder, you've got A, which is going to be that courtyard area. So it's going to be a kind of a quad, and you can blow open some of the walls. But it is kind of a breach and clear, and try to possess the middle of that quad, which can be quite difficult as the attack if you don't approach it correctly. You really need to make sure you pile up, play behind your vehicles, but also don't lose your vehicles in the process. That was probably the biggest mistake we saw in Europe, was some vehicle players getting a little too high risk and losing their vehicles early, which really stifles the attack. Now, as a reminder, this is Victory Unite. It's because of that, we've got less lives than usual. Usually it's around 180 per map. And of course, you only get about 60 or so per capture point that you take. If you're able to move on to the next point in the new sector. So not a lot of room to work with when it comes to lives, but a lot of room to work with when it comes to earning score, especially if their commanders play well. So we'll see what the commanders are able to do as we hop into the game. And like I said, 180 lives on the clock. Let's see what our attack's able to do and how many they're able to keep up. How many revives are we going for? I think the record from Europe, our top medic was 125, if I remember correctly, Tiff. A crazy number. Let's see what our attack's able to do.
Look, your goal is just to break triple digits if you want to find yourself in some of those individual awards, but picking things off here on board with G7 from Team Alpha. Now, mind you, we do know on the attacking side for Team Alpha, it's going to be Snarf X from NYXE that is the commander. So keep an eye on them for them to be able to give the comms across all teams and control it all.
Yeah, I'm calling him Snarf. I don't know if it's Snarf or it's something else, but Snarf it is for now, and he can correct me later. But a nice start here for the defense. You can see, again, if you didn't watch earlier, this is our esports observer mode, so everybody that's attacking is going to be in red, and everybody defending is going to be in green. So our attackers already have swung up on the flank, pushed onto the point, getting stifled here by a couple heroes on the left side, but the attack has way more bodies on the point already. Looks like the defense already on their heels.
Ooh, this is going to be tough. And as you see it there, only lost 6 tickets thus far. Mr. Wormy on your screen, this team is the Syndicate. Now, we were talking about how much they've shown through the show matches, but diving in here to the Delta Force Global League and Zinsire, we've seen him go crazy, but gets lost out there. It's just those tight angles I was talking about, Ghosh. You've really got to be hyper vigilant because you can easily get flanked, and Zio just trying to do some of that themselves.
That's a good shout. But a quick, aggressive motion here is exactly what you want from the attack. Traditionally, when we talk about Victory Unite, we talk about how much value there is in being the defensive side if you're coordinated. But look at this extremely well-coordinated attack. Already swung up onto the point, formed a wall all together. No reason to do anything else besides just stack bodies onto the point, especially if you can push the defense back. You have the advantage in point A, and usually it goes quick. I wasn't expecting it to go this quick, though. A very fast cap, and we are moving on to the B points almost instantaneously, Tiff. I don't know if this is a bad omen for our defense, or if they just said in chat together, hey, we're not worried about A, let's make sure we don't give away B.
Look, it's respectable, right? I was talking about a lot of the things that we'd be witnessing, but this team is going for the hyper aggro strat. You've got the Stinger, you've got the Nox, you've got all of the goodies here to make sure that you could just lay down that pressure and just keep moving forward. But would you expect anything less when you've got some returning winners from Delta Force Season 1 on that Global League side of things, especially NYXE? You've got For Fun Esports, and they threw down so many kills. I'm talking NYXE was responsible for over 1,000 of those kills. Now, granted, we're playing in a different game mode, less tickets and lives in general, but there's still a lot of kills to be had.
Definitely a lot of kills to be had, and it looks like somebody's already in the bird. We'll see who it is. You're right, Snarf is going to be the commander for the attacking side, and so far so good for the commander. As per the usual, Mr. Wormy has found his way into the helicopter, and as one could imagine, especially when it comes to pubs lobbies, you've probably seen some folks, Mr. Wormy included, tear up those lobbies with this helicopter. For the small bird, though, a well-coordinated strike absolutely could take it out quickly, especially in a coordinated esports effort like this. So we'll see how much value he's able to truly get out of it. Nice flank here from Chicka Chicka Boom on Wormy's team. Get a revive and a kill.
Look, I'm telling you, he's at this point, he's my lord and savior when it comes to the Mr. Wormy in the helicopter. You never know what you're going to get in. Chick, chick, boom. Ooh. 5 HP goes for the re-peak, but thankfully, you've got a Stinger on your side there. Sometimes, I'm telling you, it's always good to have a pocket healer. We talk about pocket engineers, but knowing that you have that individual reward for top medics and preserving those tickets when it comes to the attacking side of things. Absolutely blackout, though. That was kind of unfortunate for them.
Patience is a virtue in many games. In Warfare, occasionally it is. And right now, already, the attack not being very patient at all, just swinging on these points as fast as humanly possible. Again, Alpha is our attacking team. Bravo, when we were talking about those team lists on the defense. And the attack has taken B1. They are getting stifled now. They're not able to just immediately take B2, and it's mostly because of this tank on the other side for the defense already set up. And it looks like G7's going to try to get mixy here. Be able to play this flank. Trades one, but tank stays interior. And this is a huge boon, too. Some of the nuance here, obviously, is that basically to take out this tank, you're either going to have to use Viren magnetic bombs or an AT-4. Javelins and other launchers obviously can't go indoors. So they drop straight down, so that vehicle pretty safe and getting a lot of value on B2.
Well, our first Luna is going to be Warwick here, and I love that I was talking about how we're going to see a ton of them. Actually, we've seen a real large diversity when it comes to our operator utilization, and Playboy here on the Stinger trying to just kind of hit the knife for the quick rotate, play off the smoke. Now, this is why a lot of that recon is going to be important. You can throw the detection arrow straight into a smoke if you need that information, but right now, just trying to hold on a bit longer for the defense side of things.
The attack's doing a nice job of holding B1 while also pressuring B2. Something we always talk about, and we've got a guided missile here from Uluru, one of their abilities. Extremely valuable. So far, again, B1 contested, but still held quite nicely for the attack. On the defensive side, it is a lone survivor here that will end up falling. Cut down as we continue to move on and check out some of these other POVs.
Ooh, okay. I don't know if that vehicle just got exploded. It did. Okay, they drove, they got 5 seconds, and then you see it all go up in flames. G7 on your screen now, but they've already made some adaptations because they came in with triple Tempest, which is wild, and now Demons is the only one that's going to keep locking it back in. I was like, look, if you're going hyper aggro, that's a heck of a way. One of the newest operators, that assault operator, we're talking about just a movement legend when it comes to just being able to roll around. You do have her ult that kind of drags you back and almost gives you that extra life. But sure, people can camp it. It can get a little wild, but it's just going to be Demons going to be the last Tempest alive for that roster.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But B2 about to be captured here for attack. This is the classic tug of war. Again, I'll use this a lot, but the tug of war usually goes one way and then the other, and they go back and forth until one side finally wins. And so far, the attack, yes, they gave a little leeway over on B1, but a nice recap here. It looks like the attack's going to very quickly take B1 and B2. And they are flying through this map already. Still, again, over 100 lives moving into C1, C2 is going to be a huge boon for this team if they're able to continue to hold. And they're just winning their ones right now. Ooh. Really great shots. Finally traded out, but it doesn't matter. We're at nearly max lives going into C1, C2. Was not expecting this from the attack. Very well done.
No, we were just on board with Onion Esports, and sure, they were taking lives before they got ripped apart, but as we move on, get geared up for Sector C, you're gonna have all of those points that are gonna be difficult, right? We're talking about, like, you can bring in a lot of artillery to hit hard, and it can help destroy and break down the map, but honestly, when you look at NYXE on your screen, they are just guns a-blazing, just full sending straight on towards. You can see the defense is going to be situated over there by C1, looking for some open sightlines. But when you've got the attackers on Team Alpha, just full investing a vehicle on the front line to open the door for NYXE.
And again, this is exactly what you want to see. C1 and C2 are traditionally extremely difficult on this map. Now, you can open things up with some guided missiles and bring down one of these buildings, which is really cool to watch. But what I'm a little worried about is if the defense can't find any footing here, we could be done very quickly. This is exactly what you want to do if you're an attacking team that has a lot of momentum. You've got to keep up the pace. You can never let the defense find footing and reset up, but they could stifle you enough to where they win this, especially with the lower amount of lives in Victory Unite. The attack is guns blazing, flying at these points.
Hey, look, lock it in. D-Wolf here for the aggro plays. Look, sometimes you just need an assault operator. Plus, you do have that tactical smoke that you can use if you need to, but the push comes in, and look at Nori here behind enemy lines and just holding it down. It's allowing the rest of the attacking side to kind of filter through the doorway, and you do have, oh my God, Vyron with the movement like that. Just keep it moving. This is what I'm talking about. I have not seen such a hard-hitting squad in a very long time, and you know what, Coach? Team Alpha is looking cohesive.
Yeah, they really are. And they're also just, you know, winning their ones. They're winning their hero plays. You know, we talk about macro all the time in Warfare. But if you're able to win a lot of these trades and take out 2, 3, 4, 5 even for Nori right now by yourself, it can be a crazy amount of value. This is truthfully and frankly not even close to start things off, which I was not expecting from Alpha. Bravo has some extremely heavy hitters as well. Really good team chemistry already pre-built. But it doesn't matter. The attack is flying through this map extremely quickly. C1 already going to their hands. And now the defense can't even hardly get out of their spawn on the backs of the likes of Nori and others who are throwing down some covering fire. Obviously, SMG range isn't going to work that well from that far away, but it at least is harrying them enough to where they feel like they can't get anywhere. C1 and C2 both getting capped at the same time. Jeez.
Yeah, they just keep on moving. And honestly, seeing Nori here, I was curious what that was going to look like, knowing that Sirent was their highest performing player back in Season 1. And when you're swapping that out, you've got to have someone that's going to be absolutely stellar come in, and they are just straight into the mix, looking brilliant. So you've got our commander here. Last alive, gets lit up, is able to dive behind. The push comes in, baits him through. Let's keep going. But unfortunately, from behind up the stairs, it's like you just keep that pressure moving forward. Now, Wag gonna take the four-wheeler, grab the homies. Nori's gonna spawn right on the back of him, and they're gonna look for kind of a vantage point that they can go ahead and get into the fray.
A nice push from the attackers again, but I actually quite like taking C2 here and having C1 be the final point you need to capture. And it looks like that was mostly out of necessity because the defense was able to swing on a C1 a lot faster. And see where all the defense is set up here on C1, and we've got some hero plays again from Nori, who's kind of playing frontman, trying to look for some of these early aggressive fights, especially if you can trade out multiple, could open things up for your team. Little vehicle battle on the outside. We've been waiting on it a little while. We've had a helicopter in the air for a little while, getting a decent bit of value, nothing crazy. Some of these vehicle fights will determine the pace of this. You can already see it's a lot of map destruction on this one, especially with that bridge being blown out. That's going to change up a little bit of some of the rotations you can take to get to safety and get to the other point. But right now, the attack, this is one of their first big pushes, swinging from C2 to C1. As it looks like one of our defensive players is just trying to find any value from the outside.
Yeah, Industrial here. And this is challenging, right? Because as soon as you think you're going to be finding some crazy angles, you keep peeking and you don't check your left. And that's when it's going to cost you. But when you've got the remainder of your team still elsewhere, you turn your attention towards C1, which is utter chaos. NYXE still looking to rack up their score lines. Look at those tickets, though. 114, still quite nice. When you grab one, can you grab two? Look at all the pressure. We're still making that play at the top of this staircase here. And if you've got that self-heal, you just keep on making it work and you dive right back in.
Wait, Snarf might be him. Absolutely.
He is!
Moving different on the map right now. They're losing C2 and retaking C1, so they're trading points yet again, but they're kind of doing it with a smaller group of people, so they should have at least some bodies over on C2 trying to play some defense. Triple Blaster is going to at least give a warning shot over to the IFV. The IFV doesn't really pay too much mind. About half health with the help of others. And it looks like Snarf's pointing it out, saying, get rid of that thing, and we're going to win this game. It looks like a vehicle battle on the outside is very, very close, but the attacker is just one shot away from winning that. And you can see this map. It is all red everywhere as the defense have a final few remaining players on C2. And quickly, this map looking a little frustrating. Now, I will say, as much as the attack have been dominating, we've got to remember it is Victory Unite. We only have 100 lives. It's not a crazy amount of time. We've got to capitalize on some of these pushes and start taking both points.
Yeah, it goes incredibly quick, and I fear if Team Alpha here takes the W on the attacking side, Game 2 is going to be really interesting, and you can just see no matter what the defense was able to carve back on C2 for themselves, it's immediately being recapped there by Team Alpha. You can see we got the commanders calling in that very vital redeploy time. For the next 30 seconds, they will have shortened deployment time back in to keep the pressure on, which is so incredibly important.
Good shout. Right now, both contested. Last-ditch effort here from the defense to get back over to C1, and the vehicle's going to help out with that. I believe that's a tank destroyer inside, a very powerful vehicle. So it's going to help out a ton. Try to open things up and give them a hair of breathing room, but right now I would be holding my breath. We've got an urgent backup deployment just about to end. This allows your players on your team. This is something a commander can call in now. Allow your players on your team to respawn much quicker. It can help for big pushes or help for last-ditch efforts to defend a position. But even still, as much as we've been touting the attack, the defense has been scrapping by somehow, some way. And this building continues to get decimated and lose its walls all over the place. Wag gets traded out there. Can't get actually any help. All of NYXE is down. This is going to be a huge boon for the defense on C1. Down to 75. This game's not over.
I'm not gonna lie, that staircase has been one of the most fickle playgrounds I've seen for when it comes to Sector C. But G7 on your screen for the Team Alpha, still trying to make a play as well on the backs of NYXE. And here comes the chaos. Talk about all the explosions, the pressure from behind being provided by the vehicle. You can just see that heavy hitting artillery just keep on throwing it down the line into the buildings. Will Demons be able to make a play here? You can see some of that utility coming out from Tempest. She's been really fun to witness, but the flank comes in. Can we grab two? We do get it now down the hallway, looking for any remainders. We're looking for a full clean house if we can.
G7 looking really strong. A nice, nice flank there to be able to pick up several. It's going to open things up. Another vehicle battle. These are funny. I mean, this is kind of how Threshold plays, but this battle is comedic. It's just two vehicles on the outskirts of the map shooting each other over and over again, and it does look like the attackers trade, but the tank destroyer comes in to try to play cleanup, is able to do so, may lose it in the process if John over here can get something down on it, but I may not have the right operator to do so. That tank destroyer may be on 1 HP, and somehow, some way, even though it's been utter chaos and decimation, the defense technically have both points partially, at the very least.
Doge, when you said 1v1s and win your ones, were you thinking those isolated 1v1s in vehicles?
No, not even kind of. This is such an odd way to take these fights, but both vehicles know that the way we win this is by having more vehicles on the map than the other person, so they want to chow that and take out the vehicles that they have the priority. It's been nice trades back and forth. Defense is stabilized.
Yeah, and they're goodbye to that vehicle on the inside here. And one of our ESG rosters, you got Matt Perez. They're going to kind of dive on over towards Titan. Titan's going to be the commander for that team Bravo. So you've got to make sure that you're calming all the goodness from that area. Now, as I look at that Eternals Gaming roster, you do know that one of them did compete in Season 1 under Immortals. And let me just tell you, they did really stellar. I believe they were maybe one of the top performing teams on their initial squad. So maybe they didn't actually win Season 1 and they're coming back for vengeance.
Yeah, I like that shot. And here's probably one of the last big pushes that the attacks could make. Bunnyquid trying to save the day there, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to. The attack pushing over C1 and C2, trying to hold both. You can see a full squad plus a couple over on C2 and everybody else defending C1. A guided missile coming in, likely for the attack. Let's see where it lands, but all I'm seeing is red on the left, red on the right. Both points potentially captured. Will our attack win? Will this guided missile change anything? And no, it's Zinseer, of course it is, able to pick up a single kill just to add a little insult to injury and a victory for the attack. There was a moment there that I questioned what I thought was absolutely going to be the case. I thought maybe the defense could do it after a very nice hold on C1 and C2. I think the real problem was not actually their hold on those last couple points, Tiff. I think it was actually the problem with their holds on A and B. It just went way too quick. There were way too many lives going into C1 and C2. And if you give that attacking team that much room to work, they're going to be able to execute on it.
Yeah, and honestly, Team Alpha did a really good job of filtering through the operators, and you could just see what they were doing. They were adapting through the sectors of what they needed to play, right? Super hyper aggro. You had the Tempest, you have the D-Wolf, you have the Virens, just kind of dynamic propulsions everywhere. It's like you find a kill, you jet off into the next space, and you just keep on moving. And I think that's what allowed them to preserve the large majority of their tickets and absolutely steamroll through A and B.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good shout. I think overall, preserving tickets on the attack is everything in this game mode. I saw the players talking about it, lots of stinkers, like you said. Let's take a quick look back at some of those replays, talk about some of the highlights from this one. There certainly were plenty, and some great moments to start things off. I think one of my favorite moments was just the speed and ferocity that this attacking team put towards A and B. I mean, it was almost immediate captures on A, an immediate capture of B1, a hair of a stalemate on B2, but frankly, not all that long. They still capped it with well over 100 lives remaining, moving into C. And like we were just talking about, Tiff, that really did change things. And even on some of these choke points, the defense couldn't get anything going. So we get to C1 and C2, and this is where the defense finally was able to set up enough to be able to play for some of these trades. But I truthfully think the reason the attack wins this is just because they outslayed. I mean, they just outfragged the defense, and they were able to keep more people alive on the map at more times.
I mean, you're not wrong, especially when you've got Nori here and he makes a brief moment in the highlights. But between the NYXE roster and the havoc they were able to bring towards that staircase, and whoop, that's that dynamic propulsion I'm talking about, just jetting through, picking up a kill. And it's just an actual montage here for NYXE.
Yeah, good shout. And here's a couple final moments. Of course, some big moments from Snarf leading the charge, not only as a commander, but also as entry man, fragging out on C1. And of course, we saw these 1v1 vehicle battles that were fun to watch and a little bit interesting. Not what I expected with the way we would use those vehicles, but they knew they had to fight each other. Vehicles absolutely played a big role in this fight, and it was one of the reasons that we were open up the defense here on C1, as you can see in one of these last couple pushes. But a big flank here from G7. G7 looked really strong today. It's pretty impressed with what they were able to do. I think from Brazil, I saw some fans for G7 in the chat as well. And so competing today and really doing great on some of these flanks to open things up. Final pushes, though, 49 lives and counting. And again, I was pretty impressed with what the defense was able to do. And the first and only kill there with the guided missile was from Zinseer, who we called out at the top of the show as being somebody to watch out for. So obviously earned enough score to get that guided missile. Didn't actually matter, but looked good to end things off. A little cherry on top for their victory.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're gonna look good, you play good, you feel good, I guess, but in this term, it's just a missile. But honestly, Team Alpha there to convert on the attacking side of things. Look, I was curious, Goj, do we see a 2-0 fashion here for NA Warfare?
It's certainly possible. We oftentimes talk about how the attack is a bit harder in Victory Unite, but they made it look easy. So we'll see if it's an attack thing or a team diff. If we're going to be moving into a defense for Team Alpha, who just won, we're going to be swapping sides. But folks, as we get our scores calculated, we're going to take a very short break here in the booth and prepare the next lobby. Teams will be swapping sides, but exact same map. And Team Alpha could take it all right here. Don't go anywhere.
The Raven is obviously using us, but his intel checks out. Havoc has reactivated this old missile base in their bid to force the world into submission. These weapons threaten the very backbone of humanity. This won't stand. We'll storm the beaches, breach the bunkers, and extract the poison that they've planted in this territory. We will turn their missiles against them and drown them in a nightmare of their own creation.
The success of Havoc's Skynet weapons project relies on this ICBM base. It is the sword that extends our deterrence radius, the catalyst for our dream of building the new world. But the deranged Raven exposed it by releasing its coordinates to GTI. Since they want to make it the center of a new global storm, it shall be so.
Enemy objective is there!
Well, welcome back. Game 1 is done and dusted pretty quick, and the attackers, Team Alpha, was able to dominate that map. Yes, only about 50 lives remaining, but they really looked like they were in final form already, which is pretty impressive because, again, Tiff, I think we got to reiterate to our audience, these teams qualified as squads, teams of 4, and then we randomly seeded them together as these 2 different teams of 20 players. So these teams haven't necessarily played together before, which is pretty cool, especially with how coordinated. And I don't know if that's because of the commander leading the charge or the team just figured it out a lot quicker than their opponents. But we are swapping sides. And Tiff, you and I were talking a little bit during the break. As we're getting our scores ready to go to show that and then get into game 2, a little bit different. And I think that came down like different than Europe, right? It was a little bit different in terms of operators, a little bit different in terms of strategy with the way they use vehicles. And I think that just comes down to the map we're playing, right? Threshold is such a different map than Trainwreck, which is what we played in Europe. We did play Cracked in game 3, and that was very fun to watch as well. But in Trainwreck, there's a lot more open space. There's a lot more room to work with, a lot more opportunity for vehicles to be a huge difference maker. Whereas on Threshold, you find yourself in a lot of CQB fights interior of some of these buildings, especially on B2 inside of that kind of garage hangar area that moves on to C1 and C2. And then obviously C1 and C2 are inside of buildings. Very different from Trainwreck, Tiff.
Yes, 100%. And I think that's where you're seeing a lot of the difference come through in our operators, where I was sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, we're going to see a lot of Lunas because the importance of those recon operators plus the respawn beacons, because it was basically respawn beacon and vehicle warfare over in Europe warfare. That was kind of how people were moving the needle in terms of preserving their tickets and kind of managing it, right? Because we saw some players just never exit a vehicle unless it was absolutely exploded. And what did they do? Well, they worked on getting another vehicle as soon as humanly possible. But you move on over to North America, and things are changing. Let me just tell you, with G7 picking up the triple Tempest. Okay, look, if we're going towards A, and we talked about how quickly A folded for the defense, there's a reason why. If you've got Byrons, you've got D-Wolves, you've got Tempest galore, alongside with some of those more aggro recon legends and the Stingers that are there to help keep everyone up back on their feet immediately. I think that was the synergy we were looking for in terms of that operator selection. Now, however, we did have a couple people dive into the vehicles, which was fine. Sure, I don't know if it was really it did open up and kind of keep filtering people through some of those close range combat that you were talking about in particular, especially around hotel. Those narrow areas are so difficult to navigate, especially when you have smokes galore. So that's kind of what we were seeing. But I do enjoy it a lot, Goj, and I loved the Tempest pickups. I want to see G7 do it again. Will they do that on defense? I'm going to keep my eyes out on them because G7, you have my heart.
Yeah, I mean, they really were playing extremely aggressive, and I think the Assault Operator allows you to do that, right? I mean, obviously, if you can outplay your opponent with movement as well as your gun skill, that's a huge boon. That's one of the things, reason why people play Assault Operators. So I think you'll definitely see more of that. I think Threshold allows for that, which is really cool because we didn't see much of that on Trainwreck. Fun to watch the nuances of this esport continue to evolve as we build it and grow it. So more warfare to come soon. We're about to get into game 2. And again, as a reminder, this is a single best of 3, folks. So this is as high stakes as it could possibly be. If our attack that just won, as they move to defense, Team Alpha, that team wins on defense here, this game is over. Tournament's over. That's it. That Team Alpha will be your champions. They've got to win on defense, and right now, defense is 0 for 1. We'll see what they're able to do as we swap sides. Now, as we're getting those scores in, Tiff, I think it'll be fun to see. I think specifically, one thing we didn't probably see on broadcast as much is how many people were going for that top medic position, or just helping out their team in general, right? Because the medic, it being anybody that's on a support operator that can pick up revives very quickly, it's going to be a huge boon for our attacking teams. And that's something we've seen for the last 6+ months we've been doing these competitions, right? Because when you look at Medic and you look at Stinger, for instance, being able to pick up revives, that not only helps you keep bodies on point, but also helps you save lives and save tickets. And I was reading through all of our Alpha and Bravo and all of our different teams here that have been playing, and every team has been talking about how valuable having a Stinger, a ton of Stingers, and how valuable it is to get a crazy amount of revives. So yes, some of the players are going to be a little selfish and go for some of the top individual score lines, but also it's a huge boon, especially on the attacking side, to go for a crazy amount of revives. And that's what I'm really excited to see on the score line of how many we will see from an individual. And again, because the record on Trainwreck was 125 in 3 games, it's going to be pretty tough to beat, especially if we only play 2.
Yes, also true. But you have to think about it. The longer we go in these games, that number is going to just keep on going crazy. Because when you looked at Europe Warfare, you mentioned it, right? The first game alone ended with A not even being dropped on Trainwreck. So I think our top fragger from that game had like 25 kills. So the numbers were looking a little low over on European side of things. So now if we're going to be kicking things off, already going a large majority through Threshold, those numbers are going to be wild, and NYXZ is going to have a ton of them. But then you also have to realize you're bringing in the Syndicate, right? This is a new team that is coming through that we've been witnessing in the show matches, but you kind of unite here under the Delta Force Global League and what they've been able to bring to the table, because they're uniting alongside NYXZ and For Fun Esports. Both of those teams have a large majority of the original players that were playing in season 1 of the Delta Force Global League that were on that winning roster and did a large majority of the work. So sure, some things have shifted around. And of course you do have a member on, I believe, Team Bravo that was on that original winning team in season 1 as well. So I thought that it would be a lot closer. I'm surprised that the defense did in game 1 let up a lot of space.
Look, hey, as much as we want to applaud our attackers, job's not done. We're just getting started in this. We could go to game 3. We saw that in Europe. Sometimes it takes some of these teams a little bit to get some chemistry under their belt, figure out what they want to do as commanders. Speaking of commanders, by the way, Victory Unite is a really interesting mode for this competitive format, right? And one of the things that it affords is somebody's got to step up and take charge. And I think notably what we're seeing a lot from our commanders is they're trying to reduce the spawn time for their team anytime they can do that. There's going to be a massive amount of value from that deployment kind of impulse that they can throw out that allows them to get everybody back on the map way faster. It lasts for a certain amount of time. Everybody respawns quicker. You see that icon or that text pop up at the bottom or top middle of our screen rather. Watch out for that. I'll keep calling it out every time I see it, because that's where you can really find a lot of value as the commander, is keep using that anytime you can, if it's a valuable time to do so, because it's going to help out your team keep bodies on the point. It's just a numbers game at some level in Warfare, and sometimes one player could equal 5 on the other team, but if you can just have more bodies up faster, you're going to probably get that point that you're trying to secure. So that's one thing I'm watching out for. And then also making sure that you give correct calls, calling out for OBJ captures when they're assuredly going to be captured. That way you get your points. Now let's take a look at our scores. We've got them all set up, ready to go. Let's take a look and see who's at the top individually. We know it's side 1, but we've got some individual scores to take a look at. And as expected, near the top, at the top rather, from a score category, and near the top from some of our other categories. Good grief. Zinseer, we knew they would fry, but I wasn't expecting to see Zinseer at the top of the winning side with 60 revives. Holy cow, that is one game, folks. Nobody else is even close.
Do you know why this is so important? That's 60 tickets alone that if they had been fooled, we preserved. Like, that is insane. So between Zinseer, you have John as well, and then another member of G7 going through as well with 28. Those players alone are necessarily responsible for 100.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So even if Team Bravo throws down all of the pressure, you have those 3 players that are so incredibly important. And of course, you're able to grab 30 kills alongside those 60 revives. That's nasty. I'm sorry. That is straight up insane.
It's really impressive. And I think looking over to the right-hand side, obviously on our losing side, you're going to see a lot lower score lines, right? That's just the nature of the game. That's how it all works. And I think, and I'm looking down this list, obviously some standout performances, a Sidado game, I believe. Somebody can help me out on HXE +3. Nice 26 kills. Fantastic, especially on the losing side. You can see ESG D4NN1 at 28 kills. Going to be the top slayer for that team. Not a ton of score, but a nice spread of score all the way through. And we're looking for top individual slayers and top medics for the individual rewards, but everything else is just about winning the map. So here's a look at the overall and see how dominant of a performance it truly was from our attacking side. A gigantic 80k score total lead over their opponents. And obviously, well over 150 kills, I think, is about the spread between the two. Unreasonable. An absolute domination there from Team Alpha on all of the score lines, Tiff.
Yeah, that was just really impressive. So I'm curious if Team Alpha can run it back and see what they can do on the defense side of things as we move on. Mind you, we are sticking to Threshold. We're just swapping sides. This could get drawn out to a game 3, which we saw over on Europe today. And let me just tell you, that one got super mixy. Would love to have this go all the way. But when we have Team Alpha now on the defensive side of things, Ghost, are we seeing strategies change up, or are we going to see a lot of our solo Warlord plays?
I don't know. I'm really pumped. I've been trying to pay attention to some of the Discord, and I think the funny thing is, I was noticing in Europe, the team that strategized the most in Discord sent thousands of messages back and forth about what they want to do. They lost. So this time around, I've been paying attention, and Team Alpha was the team throwing a lot more communication in their chat, talking a ton about strategies. And it paid off this time around. So maybe there's not a true curse for the team that strategizes the most. But I think at this point, it is, hey, we made a plan for attack. I assume we've made a plan for defense. Let's just execute on that plan. We're going to win it all right here, right now. We're going to be hopping into game 2. Thanks for staying patient, folks. It's time for game 2 here for the Delta Force Global League Season 2 North American Warfare Finals. About to get into it. And again, Team Alpha now on the defense. Team Bravo, now the attackers. Chat, I want to hear who you think's going to win. Will it be a 2-game series, or will it go to game 3? What do you think? I don't know. After the dominant performance from Team Alpha, I think they might close it out here, Tiff, but I'd be excited to see what we did in game 3 with the new map and trying to pick those sides.
Look, I always say prove me wrong. So if you're going to hear what Goj is saying, if he thinks Team Alpha's going to run it back, that's where you just have to have Team Bravo prove you wrong. We're getting word on the street that it's going to be Titan from Eternals Gaming that will be locking it in for Commander on Team Bravo, which, you know, I respect. However, when you think about that Eternals Gaming roster on Team Bravo, they originally played under Immortals for Season 1, and they were on that winning team, so they have the experience. The change here, Titan is the new player to that roster, and he is our commander.
There's a look at our attacker spawns. Of course, they spawn on the backside of the gas station for most of them, and then over on the left-hand side as well. And of course, we've got that heli, so we'll see how it all pays out for them as they swing over to the attacking side for the first time. Let's see if it's as dominant as their opponents were able to take, or if it's going to take them a while to get through point A. Because I said this right when we ended the last map, and I think it's a pretty important note. It's not necessarily about if you can take point A and B, it's about how fast you can take point A and B and how many lives you end up using. Because the defense had a great hold on C1 and C2 last time. They just couldn't hold it for long enough because there were so many lives going into that one. So there's a quick look at our attackers trying to pick up some of the forward advanced players who have likely set up some tactical respawn beacons. See if we're able to get those respawn beacons, Tiff, and also get some of these kills.
Yeah, definitely. Look, here we go. Pop on in. 5 HP. Doesn't matter. Still in a 1v2 situation, and Industrial is going to have to bring up the backup. Data Knife gonna go out, and we're still trying to lay low. Get that health to regen. We find some moments of just peace, but not gonna have that when 2 are saying, no, someone's up there, but you know what else is up there? What the heli? It's a heli. And I'm super excited to see what they're going to bring to the table besides just staring up into the air, putting that pressure onto A. This is where you can see the importance of it, but we're gonna see it from the Team Alpha side of things on the receiving end.
Yeah, it's extremely important you keep your helicopter alive and your tanks alive while also creating some value. So you can see that helicopter playing pretty timid right now because, again, usually A is a decently easy point to cap, and you're going to need that helicopter to help with B1, make B1 extremely easy so that it's really just a fight for B2. That's what we're seeing a lot from the strategies of a lot of these players. The helicopter doesn't really need to get very active at all besides just kind of shell the point wherever they can and really just make sure you don't get taken down by a Javelin or a couple of other rocket launchers. I mean, a well-placed AT-4 would be nice, but a pretty difficult task with the speed of that heli.
Playboy here, getting all the goods down. Look, I'm telling you, those recon operators, imperative when it comes to success here on Threshold, and Playboy just kind of going through the package, cooldowns on that detection arrow going through, but you do still have that one frag in pocket. It's going out, it's going to be connected, and now we're going to get all that information. We don't care if the engineers are going to try and bash us in with their shields and make a play. We are going to move around it, but check it out. Look who's in that missile, trying to grab the heli if they can. It looks like Nori may have just missed out, but don't worry, we're going to fly around and see if we can get a connection. Not going to happen, but I'm not going to lie. The engineering side of things looks good on you. You pulled off from the Viren. So we saw it. Switch ups are here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Aliru using their guided missiles to try to weaken this helicopter and hopefully rip it out of the air. Very close on that one. Helicopter well piloted, able to dodge. And so far, attackers they've touched A, they've taken a little piece of it, but they aren't able to fully capture it down right now. Defense looking very strong and looking like they own the place still. Threshold may just be Team Alpha's map. Won the attack and now winning the defense thus far.
I mean, look, we're just picking them apart. We're just kind of roaming. That's kind of what we saw from our commander on Team Alpha when it came to it. We were just kind of picking those fights that kind of led us to finding a lot of success in terms of kills, but I mean, not picking anyone up. I think it was like 5 or 6 reses from game number 1, but that's okay because you're gathering information, you're looking for the pushes, and you're coordinating them throughout your other teams on Team Alpha, and that is the most important part. But now we're going to jump on board with the Syndicate, and let me just tell you, Mr. Wormy had 38 kills in game number 1, so a lot of time looking for those kills.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, the defense is doing a really good job of making sure their vehicles stay alive. I'm pretty sure they were able to cut down the helicopter, by the way, with the use of their vehicles. So now there's got a pretty big advantage on the side of the defense. I will say it looks like the attackers have been able to get a transport vehicle in, and I think they've still got their tank off in the distance, but not getting a ton of value out of them. This is kind of forced the attackers to start playing much more aggressive and at risk of losing some of their vehicles in order to at least capture this point and keep fighting another day. So watch out for that. You'll likely see their tank, if it does decide to push up, immediately be targeted by the defense, and something to pay attention to.
Yeah, something to pay attention to is they're down to 100 tickets. And we're not seeing a budge just yet, but this is where you're going to get that information from your commander to help with that. Looks like they're going to mark a high value objective. So your commanders are allowed to do several things in the Victory Unite mode, whether that is A, shorten the redeployment time for your team, or B, mark a high value object to get extra points for it and kind of try to unite the entire team around that.
Yeah, I gotta say, Hempskate has picked up, I think, like 7 kills in the vehicle they're using, wiped another vehicle from the attacker's side, and is maintaining a power position on the backside. Maybe finally got cut down, I'm not sure, but even still got a ton of value. And now the defense, this is really reminiscent to what NYXC did last time, last Global League Series in Season 1. This is the exact same thing. NYXC on the defense now for this team. Obviously, Snarf, the commander, they had so much pressure that they eventually were able to push up to these front lines and essentially spawn trap the attackers. The attackers couldn't get any value, and it looks like they've got a bird in the air yet again. I don't know if they're going to get any value out of it, but it's not really will they, it's that they have to, Tiff. They've got to make an aggressive play here or they're going to be stifled. You can see, look at what the attackers are trying to do. They said, okay, we're spawn trapped on the gas station side. Let's swing all the way around the outside as a unit. It's going to be our only play to try to play kind of a flank on the defense and then make a play for the point. But it looks like they're all being eliminated off to the right-hand side.
Hey, definitely are, but honestly, if you're for fun esports, you're reeling in this. Winning all alone in Delta Force Global League Season 1 alongside NYXC, kind of running it back, right? So you're looking for be the 2-time at this point in time, especially when $10,000 on the line, and G7 looking to join them if they can. And now you've got Johns' Hot, just kind of making sure that we are breaking it down to 50 tickets almost. Just hanging in there. This is crazy. They're going to have to get A as soon as possible. I don't know what that player is trying to do from the top ropes because Mr. Wormy's like, nah, bro, I'm the one that has the height advantage usually.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And a couple of heroes trying to make hero plays. The problem is there's just too many numbers. There's just too many defenders in the area. And this is brutal. Hempskate is really crushing it in the vehicle. You're seeing a ton of kills coming their way. The defense is repositioned on the backside of A. Bodies on point. And the helicopter's trying to help. Look at it swirl through the sky, but it's just not getting a ton of value right now. Having to evade likely javelins and Aliru guided missiles. Maybe even some AT-4 shots. They need a miracle right now. If I'm the attacker, I need to call in something. I don't know if we have enough score to do it yet. But we've got to break through this front line of the defense. Right now, they are an iron wall.
Ooh, and even with the health going so low, we hold it together. That therapeutic pistol goes crazy before being ripped to shreds the moment you enter that small building. Look, this is wild, Goj. We're down to 15. What do you do if you're looking for a last hold for the defense? Because Team Alpha right now is just too strong.
Yeah, what you do is you get risky with your vehicles. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're able to get a vehicle onto the point, open things up for a moment, but then it was a risk of losing the vehicle. The problem is you've got to take the risk. You just got to get onto the point, and it doesn't look like the attackers have enough bodies, enough position to do it. They cannot make a move through this defensive curtain. This is unbelievable. Push from the defense, a great hold, a great trap. And I think we're going to end it right here on the very first point. Team Alpha is just the superior team. And there's a late push, a late effort with 1 life remaining for the attackers team. We do go to overtime. The attackers are trying. This would be a unbelievable story that we would talk about for a very long time if they're able to win this map. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but they have enough bodies here.
What?
It's really close. They get
What?
Oh my goodness. In overtime is just about getting bodies on the point, and they were able to do it. Good grief. We've got 60 lives going to B1 and B2. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. But the show goes on.
I mean, look, that was straight whack-a-mole trying to pull him off of A, and there was just nothing they could do. I was just watching it. It hits 50%. It keeps chugging. Next thing you know, they capture it, and I'm like, how is this even possible? How is Team Bravo making this work? I respect it. The fact of the matter is they did. Now we set our sights over to B1 and B2 with 60 lives. It's going to be incredibly difficult, but you know what? Life is hard. I've seen harder things, so I want to see them break it down.
What a great rallying cry for this team. Life is hard, but I've seen harder things. Let's push on forward. Anybody could do hard things if you set your mind to it. Let's see if our attackers have the right mindset for this, or if they're just reeling and just trying to breathe after a narrow, almost loss in this entire tournament. Folks, I got to remind you, as we only have 55 lives remaining for B1 and B2, for us to continue this competition at all as Neo gets taken down, the attackers have to win this map to force game 3. This is a single best of 3 for the finals. If the defense holds here, the defense wins the entire tournament. And it looks like the attackers just barely catching the edge of B1. At least making sure that this isn't a clean sweep on B1, B2.
I was going to say, that was a good hold for the initial. They took away 21 of those lives, which, if that's what they're going to get per push, you don't really have too many more efforts at it. So maybe you unite along the vehicle, bait out the defense's vehicle, because you can see them there in hot pursuit, that 1v1. It's going to be important, and look at that. It is going to be the attacking side with the victory when it comes to the 1v1 vehicles.
Hey, you got to take the little wins where you can get them. I mean, hey, if you win the vehicle battle, you're at least going to have some firepower. The problem is you're running out of daylight already. Of course, you only had 60 lives going into B1, B2, a very tall task. Got to start with B1. Obviously, this is a much more kind of linear point almost, so you need to find some footing past this choke point if you want any success to be able to try to take B2. Getting kind of choked out here with this tent choke point, and they've got to push through, take B1, get some respawn beacons down so their team can spawn a lot closer so they can try to make a play for B2. Got a decent bit of footing on B1, but I don't think they've got enough bodies to actually capture that point.
All right, let's go back to the free cam. Let's get an overlook of what we are witnessing in the setups here. Implosions, explosions, all of the above. Just that sheer chaos that you mentioned at the top of the show here for B1 and making things more difficult.
I don't know if they're going to get overtime on this one, Tiff. I'm going to be honest. It does look like the attackers have been able to swing around the left side, and maybe they're going to go for B2 instead of B1, which is not a terrible idea, especially with the artillery strike on B1. But I like the strategy. At least they're fighting for it, and right now, it's still possible.
Okay, Mr. Wormy, I see where you were getting those kills from in game number 1. You making plays like this. Let's keep on moving throughout. You break the corner. He's already gone. Now you set your sights on. This is going to be a big moment here. Just a couple players. You're just sheer outnumbered. Kind of unfortunate, but you know what? 6 lives. Are they the overtime warlords? Is this their key to success? Do they thrive under that amount of pressure? So they want to keep it for themselves? I don't know, but G7 is 4 lives away from being a winner here in Season 2.
Yeah, they've found their way all the way to B2 and captured a point, but with only 2 lives remaining. Yes, we've got the urgent backup deployment active. It's going to be ending here at the end of the game because that is it, folks. As much as they put up a fight, Team Bravo taking down Team Alpha, your champions. They win map 1 on the attack. They dominate all the way through. We thought they were going to hold on the very first point of the second map, but then they're able to hold on the second. 20v20, victory unite, but it all came down to a couple key heroes and great team chemistry from Team Alpha. Crushed it. Not even close, just utter domination, front to back, attack and defense.
That is wild. Just wild. Team Alpha, you are something. I'm sitting here just kind of flabbergasted at this point because while that was absolutely wicked, winning in overtime on Team A for Team Bravo there in game number 2,
Yeah.
like that was insane.
Yeah, they did put up a good fight. I got to tip my hat to them. They really fought for every second, and I think I saw just Lally in the chat say, look, well, it looks like the defense let down their guard in the very last moment, and that's exactly right. The defense let down their guard, but they weren't going to let their guard down for B1 and B2, and frankly, it looked like the attack actually found a way to find some momentum, to even push for B2. But the problem is they just didn't have enough lives. It just took way too long to get through point A. I just don't think they were going to have enough to get through B1, B2, and even then C. So let's take a look back on that map and see how it all went down and what really happened. What was the frustrating points for the attackers on this point A? And I think very quickly we realized, one, we weren't getting a ton of value out of our vehicles from the attacker side, Tiff. We didn't see vehicles make big plays. They were just trying to kind of stay alive to use them for B2 or B1 and B2 potentially, or they were just getting out-fragged and out taken down, and I think that's a stratagem problem from the defensive side. They were likely targeting these vehicles first because they know how powerful they are. And then moments like this, obviously, where you've got to just full send it. You said, okay, I've been playing slow with my vehicle. We have 13 lives remaining. I got to get on the point. They do force overtime, and this is where, you know, obviously we were holding our breaths thinking this couldn't surely be over on the first point, right? And they were able to capture in overtime and force it to B1 and B2. But this choke point here was just too hot to handle. They couldn't get through it, so they had to flank for B2, and they just didn't have enough time for that much route running and that much work on the backside of this point, Tiff.
Yeah, you see those anti-tank mines there and all of them inside. Look, it was just wild when it came to what we witnessed there for game number 2. Very reminiscent of game 1 from the Europe warfare side of things that just happened a few hours ago, but I really didn't think we would see that again. Now, granted, they did at least get through A, so I'm really happy about that. Maybe they just needed to feel the pressure, the stakes of that overtime. Whatever works. Whatever works.
Yeah, hey, whatever works as well. I agree. I think, hey, you got to show up some fight. You got to show out for the team. And hey, there's still some individual rewards to play for. We do know, of course, the winning side. They dominated Team Alpha today, but we do have some individuals that really shined. And I'll be really curious to see who the top Slayer is, who the top medic is, the person with the most revives. Those are up for grabs from either team. So there's definitely possibility that one of those players could be on the losing side. You never know. I think I've got a good idea of a couple of the people that were in the running, but I'll be really excited to see if we're able to potentially see who those are and then also take a look at those final scores. I think those scores are just about ready. I'm gonna wait on that and then get into the mix. But folks, thanks for tuning in so far. What a very quick but very fun warfare bout. And Tiff, I want to kind of reminisce a little bit on Threshold because I knew it was going to play very different from Trainwreck, but it was totally different. And I think that was one of the things that you and I were just talking about after the first game, is that even operator choices were different. The way we played was different. The way we played around vehicles was different, and the terrain can dictate that often. And that's what I love about Warfare, is that every map has a different strategy, whether you're on attack and defense, a huge different strategy. There's a lot of fun kind of esports level strategies that can start at a micro level, but then transfer over to a macro level for an entire team of 20.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw so much utilization, and it was fun, right? From the engineers that have the anti-tank mines and all of the guided missiles that are helping you kind of combat, but also yet keep those vehicles alive. So a little bit of both. But then when you think about what other operators we were seeing that were just much more prevalent, yeah, you've got the return to the classic, the OG, the D-Wolf, but then you have a ton of the Virons. And a lot of that is based on the momentum that we're witnessing and the movement that they need to be successful on the aggro nature, especially for Team Alpha, because they just excel in just that fast-paced, high-octane gameplay, which is cool because we also saw one of their players kind of logging back into Nox. And sure, Nox has definitely gotten some of the reworks in the most recent season patch, but still incredibly fun to witness when it comes to competitive gameplay. Now, we did see some of the Tempest Gauche. I was excited.
Yeah.
I don't think they got the main stage that we needed to see from that, because with the tactical combat role, this is still kind of leaning more into that movement, because you also do have that 10% speed boost that you can get from her like passive. So I do love kind of locking it in, and Demons was able to stick with the Tempest when everyone else was kind of adapting and moving away from them, when we needed to see kind of the different package that made sense for those sectors, Coach.
Yeah, a really good breakdown. I think our scores are just about to be ready. Again, folks, we know the championship team, but the question is, how about our individuals? Let's take a look at the last game first before we take a look at the overall. And folks, this game was a doozy. Obviously, not a very long one, so not crazy stat lines across the board, but gotta say, look who's nearly at the top of the revive category yet again for Team Alpha. Zinseer at the top of the overall leaderboard, at the top for revives, 28. Technically, though, John Zinhot over there on G7 did pick up 29, was the most in this map. And an honorable mention there, of course, to 4F John there, down a little bit lower. But then on our losing side, decent score lines across the board. Our top fragger looks like it's going to be blocking over with ESG. 18 kills overall, not bad, especially for a map that was pretty frustrating. I mean, my eyes go to Snarf, though, here, Tiff. Commander, a fantastic player, but also top fragger, I believe, at 32 kills. I mean, I think we're seeing some of the individuals that have risen to the top of our categories.
I mean, absolutely not. But I was just gonna say, oh, captain, my captain at this point, because let me just tell you, he was out there making those solo plays. I don't care if he doesn't have any revives. Locked into the D-Wolf, kept that aggression moving forward, and was able to command a team to an extensive victory. So overall, I thought it was really impressive, and I would love to see it again.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the overall. This is between both games. And again, when you go 2-0, you better have higher score and a lot more kills. And that's exactly what we're seeing on our leaderboard here. We've got over 500,000 in our score totals between both games combined for all of our players, which is well over 100K lead over their opponents. Obviously, they go back-to-back in our best of 3 and win it all. But they also, just in the kill category, were slaying out. And at the end of the day, as much as we want to break down macro and all that good stuff, if you just outslay your opponents, you're probably going to win. And that's exactly what happened with over 250 kills more. That's absurd. Now let's take a look at our pricing. Who's won some cash? We know Team Alpha won $10,000, but oh my goodness, in 2 fairly quick games, TTV Zinseer, I see you, 88 rescues. Congratulations, top medic of the day, $500 going to your name. And then Snarf picked up top slayer with 66 kills between 2, again, fairly short games, both really impressive stat lines. And a big congratulations to both those teams for winning $500 apiece, Tiff, but also an extra $500 for being a part of Team Alpha. That's a $1,000 payday. Let's go.
Yeah, look, it had to be incredibly close, especially when you're looking at 66 kills from Snarf. Had 34 after game number 1, but you know what? Not the top fragger, was actually Mr. Wormy with 38. So knowing that it was already really dicey coming into game 2, you just had to lay it down and focus up. And maybe that's exactly what he was prioritizing alongside leading the team, making sure that you got those frags. But regardless, a 32 kill game for game number 2, super consistent.
Yeah, really good stuff. And just a quick behind the scenes, by the way, it was really close from the top slayer category, like you mentioned. Snarf did pick up 66, as we're showing. Mr. Wormy only got outfragged by 3 kills, had 63 total kills, and Snarf had 66. Just barely outfragged. So congratulations to both those players. Really a great day. And then G7's Leo TZZ at 55 there for 3rd in that category. And then on the top medic side, it was Zinseer at the top by a mile. Zinseer. I think we might get a chance to figure out how to say his name perfectly and shout him out here in a little bit. At 88, but John Zinhot for G7 was at 57, which is, again, still a great value there from the revised category. But an unbelievable amount of value here from Zen to pick up 88 and 2. That's unreal, especially with how short that second game was. That's a lot of bodies that are not heading back to the gray screen and trying to respawn.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were talking about how wild it was to see him picking up kills as well as getting those revives. So incredibly vital when it comes to the success of Team Alpha. And gosh, it was wild to see them work together so incredibly well, especially in the Victory Unite mode, right? We were seeing it over in Europe, like a lot of our teams, you know, they're great on their own, but when you kind of lock it in under one commander and you have to be successful alongside the rest of the teams, and maybe you don't have the same play styles, and maybe you don't want to slot into a role that someone's giving you, you've got to do it and work together as a team. And man, Team Alpha did just that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to break it down. I think with Team Alpha, it was just a more cohesive team. They were able to slay out well and, like you said, just keep people alive and keep bodies on points. So a great job there. And I think it's a really good call out, by the way, for Zin. Zin was not only our top medic, but was in the top 5, was 4th overall in the top Slayer category as well. So truly was just doing it all across the board with 50 total kills between 2 games. Again, fairly short game. So a fun competition today. But that is a very quick North America finals. But our best of 3 goes to Team Alpha. And I believe we are, I think we're getting a chance to talk to potentially, we can get him into the room. We're going to have a chance to interview Mr. Zin himself, being one of the team leads and crushing all the individual categories, and for the team themselves. Very well done from Zin and Co. to be able to win, but also would love to hear from the man himself and see what he had to do on the map and what his plans were. So we'll keep you updated if we're able to get a Zin interview here shortly. But Tiv, let's recap the day. I mean, any kind of fun summaries of what the day was all about? I think for me, it was a lot of learnings. I think Threshold, we've watched a lot on broadcast, but it seems like these teams had plans going into Threshold. They knew when they saw Threshold get procced, they immediately went to their team chats, talked to each other, and made a plan. It's probably the most organized gameplay I've seen on Threshold from Team Alpha in particular, obviously. To be able to win an attack and a defend in Victory Unite under this level of competition is truly an impressive feat.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that leans into their preparation. You were kind of talking earlier, you're like, sometimes the team that preps the most doesn't actually come out and take the win, right? They just kind of overexert themselves in the strategy, or maybe it's just an information bomb that you just really can't grasp onto all of it. But regardless, everything that Team Alpha said definitely worked for them. And even with language barriers, right? We've got a ton of people from Brazil. You've got a couple, like one English speaking team. So kind of uniting all around that. It's just insane to witness that cohesion. I mean, look, you're talking about the adaptability, right? Because if things had started to kind of sway not in their favor, right? It's how quickly can you switch to an operator that's going to be able to combat something that you're currently facing, or what changes can you make on your individual squad that is going to really make the team as a whole benefit from that. And I think that they were just able to adapt quicker as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good summary of everything from behind the scenes, and it'll be fun to hear, potentially, hopefully, from Zin himself and see how it all worked out. But yeah, I think with Warfare, to summarize, this is the end of our Delta Force Global League Warfare side of things here for Season 2. We had Europe earlier today and North America today as well, which we just wrapped up. But tomorrow, we've got Operations. So there's more Delta Force Global League happening right around the corner. Tomorrow, same time, we're going to have a 12 p.m. show for Europe in the Operations Finals with a brand new unique system. Not gonna want to miss that. 7 p.m. for North America. Our players went through qualifiers and a semifinals competition that happened offline. So you're gonna see some names that maybe you recognize because they're streamers, or maybe they are just brand new players that are trying to make a name for themselves in the operations side of things. So this is the wrap on Warfare, but a lot more Delta Force Global League happening tomorrow as well. And while I have a moment of your attention, so we're about to hop into this interview, folks, as a quick reminder, we've got Delta Force Global League specific Twitch drops active right now. You kidding me? Really dang cool. Make sure you're on Twitch. Make sure you have your account connected. You're able to redeem those just for watching the broadcast this weekend. I think you only need to watch for somewhere around like 2 hours. Really not all that difficult considering how many competitions we've had today. One earlier, this one, of course, and then tomorrow we've got 2 full competitions, which will take a couple hours each. So you'll have plenty of time to make sure you get all of your Twitch drops here on our Twitch channel, Delta Force Official's Twitch channel, but they are live all over the place. Now, speaking of live all over the place, we've got somebody who was live today and all over the place on this map. We've got Zin joining us in the booth. Zin, my goat. Now, can I hype you up a second? You're top 4 in the Slayer category. You're top medic by a mile. You win $1,000 today. You win the whole competition, and you were dominating in the show match just a couple days ago. Zin, what's your secret? How are you feeling? What's going on? Tell us about yourself.
I think I just try my best out there and to look cool. I think that's all.
Why did I think you were just gonna say, I think I'm just the best? And I was okay with that as well. Like, I really was. I was like, lock it in, own it, say it proud. But honestly, if you're trying your best, what do you think makes your team so successful in general? Is it just like your talent, the skill, the chemistry between y'all? Because you also have to not only work within your team, but also in Victory Night with everyone.
It's definitely the chemistry. I played with these guys like every time, so I just know their talent, you know, their gun skills. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of chemistry. I mean, the chemistry piece is extremely important for Warfare, right? And I think
Yes.
my question for you is, I know there was a lot of comms. In your team channel, I think it was in for Team Alpha, it was blowing up nonstop with a couple different languages back and forth. Was there a plan from your team in general that you were able to be communicated about that plan? Or was it kind of like, hey, my squad's going to go in and fry out and you guys do your thing and then we're going to make it work?
I think we just went with the flow.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's what it looked like, and I think the flow really worked well for you guys. Break down the attack, though. I want to hear from you. Do you think your medic skills were one of the things that really helped you succeed? I mean, obviously a big part of it, but any specific things that worked really well for the overall team in the attack and why you were able to win on Threshold?
I think it's definitely the medics. Since, well, me, I got 60 revives, I think, so it definitely helped our team.
Yeah, you got 60. I can confirm that. I think there was a couple other players that were at right around 28 and maybe 24. So between 3 of you, you guys kept up with 100 lives in general. So it was wild the amount you were able to preserve. But I think those are all real good moments. I love that you went with the flow. But while we've got you here, I mean, I didn't really see you back in season 1, but you've been throwing down on the show matches. What kind of shout outs do you have to your community in general? Like, how did you prep for this tournament coming into it, besides maybe playing with your team?
Well, first of all, it would be, what do you call this? Possible without my community. I wouldn't be able to join this tourney or even stream without this community, so I'm very thankful for them. So, everyone, much love to you guys.
Heck yeah, man. I respect that a ton. I mean, this is, I think it's been a long time coming for you. Final words here from you, man. I just want to give you the floor. I want you to shout yourself out. I know you stream because I've seen your stream. I've popped in. You might not have seen me there. I was lurking. But I popped in after the show match. You've been crushing it. Shout yourself out on stream, where people could find you and what you stream. I mean, obviously you're streaming Delta Force and you're grinding because you're pretty dang good at it. But tell us where we can find you on stream.
I stream at Twitch, so you can just find me at twitch.tv/ZYNSYRE. It's sincere.
Okay, and that was the final thing I was going to ask to make sure I said it right. Zincere, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, Zincere. I will never get it wrong again. You can mark my words. You can have words with me if I do get it wrong. But Zin, okay, anything else? Any shout outs you want to give? Anything else you want to close out today's broadcast with? Because obviously you were the man of the hour. You're right, medics carried it, and you guys were able to win it all.
Shout out to my team, first of all, and shout out to the Alpha team for doing a great job, and also shout out to the enemy team. Those were good games, for sure.
Heck yeah, Zin's giving shout outs to everybody, and I love it. My man, thanks for popping into the booth with us. It's always good to talk to new faces, and hope you continue to make your name for yourself here in the Delta Force community. You're crushing it, and good luck with everything else.
Thank you. Much love.
Cheers. Well, Zin here in the booth again, a top 5 Slayer, the top medic, won $1,000, and a great interview, a great kind soul. That was fun, Tiff.
Yeah, demon mode, beds made, looking great, out here just vibing, fresh off a win. Look, that's what you gotta do. I'm telling you, that is the vibe that we want for the community. And honestly, anytime we get to chat with our competitive players, they're the nicest people, Goj. I swear. They just want the best for Delta Force. Even shouting out the enemy team. They're like, yeah, those were good games. All right,
that's great. That's a great competitive spirit. I love it from Zin. Shout out Zin again. Go check him out. He shouted out where you can find him. We've got a lot of big, content creators that compete in this, but a lot of folks trying to make a name for themselves as well. So check out Zin. Now, Tiff, Another great game, another great day of Delta Force. We've done a ton of these days of Delta Force, but Delta Force Global League has got to be some of my favorite because we get obviously the chaotic action, but we also have some really strategic gameplay today and tomorrow, which I think you're going to be joining me for that as well. So I'll be excited to have you back. But any final words for the broadcast before we close today and we can prepare for tomorrow?
Look, warfare has been an absolute joy, but I'm going to take a word from Zin when I look forward to operations tomorrow. Just go with the flow. Let it happen. Relax. You've got this.
That's awesome. Well, I know many of our players are celebrating for some of the cash they won and just a little bit of ego boost. Say, oh, we are really good at this game. But Tiff, you're really good at your job as well. It's always a pleasure to have you in the booth. So cheers, and I'll see you tomorrow. Folks at home, what a great day of Delta Force, as per the usual. I've got to remind you of a few things before we close out today's broadcast. First and foremost, job's not done. I've already talked about it a couple times. We've got operations tomorrow. I know we've got some operations fans in the chat. I even saw some of our operations finalists in the chat watching the Warfare broadcast. But tomorrow, same place, same time for both the broadcasts. We've got European finals for operations here at the Delta Force Global League for Season 2 at 12 p.m. Central Time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific Time. You can do all the math on wherever you can find that based on your time zone. That's going to be for all of our European players. And then in the evening, same time as today, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, it's going to be our North American finals. And that's going to be a lot of fun for both of those competitions because, folks, we're going to preview a brand new way to play Delta Force competitively in the operations game mode. It is extremely unique, some really interesting and unique rules, and I think you're going to like it a lot. So make sure you don't miss out on those broadcasts. Tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've got to remind you, as per the usual, that we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for enjoying these Delta Force broadcasts, and I hope to see you tomorrow.
Copy.